Methods. Abstinence. These natural methods involves abstaining from sexual intercourse and is the most effective natural birth control method with ideally 0% fail rate. It is also the most effective way to avoid STIs. The process is calculating for the woman's safe days is achieved when the woman records her menstrual cycle for 6 months. Advantages of abstinence. Abstinence is free, always available, and can be started at any time in your life. Abstinence may encourage people to build a relationship and connect more in ways that don't involve sexual activity. There are no medical side effects. May encourage different kinds of sexual exploration and expression other than intercourse. Disadvantage of abstinence. Experience shows that even people committed to abstinence may unexpectedly have sex and may not be prepared to protect themselves from pregnancy and STIs. Many people may find it difficult to maintain abstinence over the long term. Choosing abstinence does not mean that your desire for sexual activity goes away. Calendar method. The calendar or rhythm method, also called the rhythm method, is this natural method of family planning involves refraining from coitus during the days that the woman is fertile. According to the menstrual cycle, 3 or 4 days before and 3 or 4 days after ovulation, the woman is likely to conceive. The process in calculating for the woman's safe day is achieved when the woman records her menstrual cycle for 6 months. Starting from the first fertile day until the last day, the woman should avoid coitus to avoid conception. The disadvantage of calendar method is it is challenging for people with irregular periods. Basal body temperature. The basal body temperature is the woman's temperature at rest. BBT falls at 0.0 Fahrenheit before the day of ovulation and during ovulation. The woman must take her temperature early every morning before any activity, and if she notices that there is a slight decrease and then an increase in her temperature, this is a sign that she is ovulated. What are the benefits of the body temperature? Measuring body temperature is very important in medicine. A number of diseases are characterized by change in body temperature. With other illnesses, the course of the disease is short. Cervical mucus method. The basis of this method is the changes in the cervical mucus during ovulation. To check if the woman is ovulating, the cervical mucus must be copious, thin, and watery. The cervical mucus must exhibit the property of spink bucket, wherein it can be stretched up until at least 1 inch and feel slippery. The cervical mucus method is a way to identify fertile times to help you gauge the best days to have or avoid unprotected sex. Tracking your cervical mucus for either fertility or contraception is inexpensive and doesn't have any side effects. Symptothermal method. Combination of the BBT method and the cervical mucus method. The woman takes her temperature every morning before getting up and also takes note of any changes in her cervical mucus every day. She abstains from the coitus 3 days after a rise in her temperature or on the 4th days after the peak of mucus change. The symptothermal method is a significant advantage in effectiveness because it combines the calendar, cervical mucus, and temperature methods. However, this technique shares the same disadvantages that each of these techniques has individually. Ovulation detection. The ovulation detection method is an over-the-counter kit that can predict ovulation through the surge of luteinizing hormone that happens 12 to 24 hours before ovulation. The kit requires the urine specimen of the woman to detect the LH. Advantages. Ovulation test kit may be beneficial if you have slightly irregular periods or find other methods of tracking your fertility difficult or unreliable. Disadvantages. Ovulation test kit can be expensive and there are no guarantees. There is currently no evidence that using ovulation test kit improves your chances of getting pregnant naturally. Coitus interruptus. This is one of the oldest methods of contraception. The couple still proceeds with the coitus, but the man withdraws the moment he ejaculates to emit the spermatozoa outside of the vagina. The disadvantage of this method is the pre-ejaculation fluid that contains a few spermatozoa that may cause fertilization. It costs nothing, requires no devices, involves no chemical, causes no medical side effects, and is always available. If there is more than one act of intercourse, the effectiveness rate in preventing pregnancy further decreases. Since coitus interruptus is based on the man's self-control, that is, his ability to withdraw in time, often both partners cannot truly relax and pleasure is compromised. Also, there is no protection from sexually transmitted disease, including HIV.